recording. No recording. Oh, yeah. Leave it. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Varnachari Yamuna Tira Varnachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Satsarasata Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Satsarasata Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Acharya Shri Dasa ki jai. Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Janitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Shri Guru Gauranga Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today morning we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, The Pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, text number 31. Rama Priyatamam Bharyam Dinam Vikshyan Vakam Pata Atma Sandarsanalada Vikashan Mukha Pankajam Rama Priyatamam Bharyam Dinam Vikshyan Vakam Pata Atma Sandarsanalada Vikashan Mukha Pankajam. Rama Priyatamam Bharyam Dinam Vikshyanmakam Pada Atma Sandarshanalada Ekasanmukha Pankajam Rama Priyatamam Bharyam Dinam Vikshyanmakam Pada Atma Sandarshanalada Ekasanmukha Pankajam. Mataji's. Rama Priyatamam Bharyam Dinam Vikshyanmakam Pada Atma Sandarshanalada Vikasanmukha Pankaja. Word meaning? Rama, Lord Ramachandra. Priyatamam, upon his dearmost. Bharyam, wife. Dinam, so poorly situated. Vikshya, looking. Anva Kampata, become very compassionate. Atma Sandarshana, when one sees his beloved. Ahalada, an ecstasy of joyful life. Vikasat, manifesting. Mukha, mouth. Pankajam, like a lotus. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Seeing his wife in that condition, Lord Ramachandra was very compassionate. When Lord Ramachandra came before her, she was exceedingly happy to see her beloved, and her lotus-like mouth showed her joy. We'll continue to read the other verses till verse number, I think, verse 50. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Sakshur Unmilitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shiyuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shirade Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Shuta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate kirim yat kripa tamaham mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamile Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine Hare Krishna. seeking blessing of all assembled Vaishnavas. Let's discuss something from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam this morning, my own purification. Seeing his wife in that condition, Lord Ramachandra was very compassionate. When Ramachandra came before her, she was exceedingly happy to see her beloved, and her lotus-like mouth showed her joy. This is the rescue mission of Ramachandra after killing the demon Ravana. Lord Ramachandra came and met Mother Sita. After giving, text 32, after giving Vibhishan the power to rule the Rakshasa population of Lanka for the duration of 1 kalpa, Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, placed Sita Devi on an airplane decorated with flowers and then got on the plane himself. The period for his living in the forest having ended, the Lord returned to Ayodhya, accompanied by Hanuman, Sugriv and his brother Lakshman. I think that's a celebration of Diwali, is it right? Lord Ram coming to Ayodhya is Diwali, right? And Lord Ram killing Ravan is Dashara. Dashara festival, is it right? So Dashara, I think Dashara and Diwali, 10 days comes usually. And 33. When Lord Ramachandra returned to his capital Ayodhya, he was greeted on the road by the princely order, who showered his body with beautiful fragrant flowers, while great personalities like Lord Brahma and other demigods glorified the activities of the Lord in great jubilation. Festival. Upon reaching Ayodhya, Lord Ramachandra heard that in his absence his brother Bharata was heating barley cooked in the urine of a cow, covering his body with the bark of trees, wearing matted locks of hair, and lying on a mattress of kusa. The most merciful Lord very much lamented this. When Lord Bharata understood that Lord Ramachandra was returning to the capital Ayodhya, he immediately took upon his own head Lord Ramachandra's wooden shoes and came out from his camp at Nandigrama. Lord Bharata was accompanied by ministers, priests and other respectable citizens, by professional musicians vibrating pleasing musical sound, and by learned brahmanas loudly chanting Vedic hymns. Following in the procession were chariots drawn by beautiful horses with harnesses of golden rope. These chariots were decorated by flags with golden embroidery and by other flags of various sizes and patterns. There were soldiers bedecked with golden armor, servants bearing betel nut, and many well-known and beautiful prostitutes. Many servants followed on foot, bearing an umbrella, whisk, different grades of precious jewels and other paraphernalia befitting a royal reception. Accompanied in this way, Lord Bharata, his heart softened in ecstasy and his eyes full of tears, approached Lord Ramachandra, fell at his lotus feet with great ecstatic love. So it's a welcome party for Lord Ram returning from his exile. Whole city is looking forward. The demigods are welcoming the priest from the top of the Varnashrama to the even the society girls or everyone in their whole kingdom welcoming Lord Ram. After offering the wooden shoes before Lord Ramachandra, Lord Bharata stood with folded hands, his eyes full of tears, and Lord Ramachandra bathed Bharata with tears while embracing him with both arms for a long time. Accompanied by Mother Sita and Lakshmana, Lord Ramachandra then offered his respectful obeisances unto the learned Brahmanas, an elderly person in the family, and all the citizens of Ayodhya offered their respectful obeisances unto the Lord. Text 41. The citizens of Ayodhya, upon seeing their king return after a long absence, offered him flower garlands, waved their upper clothes, and danced in great jubilation. How long was Ram away from Ayodhya? 14 years. That's a long time. O king, Lord Bharata carried Lord Ramachandra wooden shoes. Sugriva and Vibhishan carried a whisk and an excellent fan. Hanuman carried a white umbrella. Satrughna carried a bow and 2 quivers. And Sita Devi carried a water pot filled with water from holy places. Angada carried a sword. Jambavan, king of the Rakshas, carried a golden shield. O King Parikshit, as the Lord sat on his aeroplane of flowers, with women offering him praise and reciters chanting about his characteristics, he appeared like a moon with the stars and planets. Beautiful scene. It's a poetic way of explaining. 45-46. Thereafter, having been welcomed by his brother Bharata, Lord Ramachandra entered the city of Ayodhya in the midst of a festival. When he entered the palace, he offered obeisances to all the mothers, including Kayaki, and then other wives of Maharaj Dasarath, and especially his own mother Kausalya. He also offered obeisances to the spiritual preceptors such as Vasishtha, friends of his own age, and younger friends worshipped him, and he returned their respectful obeisances as did Lakshman and Mother Sita. In this way, they all entered the palace. So there are seniors, equals, and juniors. How you reciprocate. So the life of Ram is very exemplary. The whole pastime, if you see, he himself very exemplary in terms of etiquette, in terms of teaching, in terms of, relationship. So all exemplary Lord. You want to set example, great example. And 47. Upon seeing their sons, the mothers of Ram, Lakshman, Bharata, Satrughna immediately arose, like unconscious body returning to consciousness. The mothers placed their sons on their laps and bathed them with tears, thus relieving themselves of the grief of long separation. 48. The family priest or spiritual master Vasishtha had Lord Ramachandra cleanly shaved, freeing him from his matted locks of hair. Then, with the cooperation of the elderly members of the family, he performed the bathing ceremony, Abhishek, for Lord Ramachandra with the water of the 4 seas and with other substance, just as it was performed for King Indra. Lord Ramachandra, fully bathed and his head clean shaven, dressed himself very nicely and was decorated with a garland and ornaments. Thus he shone brightly, surrounded by his brothers and wife, who were similarly dressed and ornamented. Text 50. Being pleased by the full surrender and submission of Lord Bharata, Lord Ramachandra then accepted the throne of the state. He cared for the citizen exactly like a father, and the citizens, being fully engaged in their occupational duties of Varna and Ashrama, accepted him as their father. Purport. People are very fond of the pattern of Ram Rajya, and even today politicians sometimes form a party called Rama Rajya. But unfortunately, they have no obedience to Lord Ram. It is sometimes said that people want the kingdom of God without God. Such an aspiration, however, is never to be fulfilled. Good government can exist when the relationship between the citizen and the government is like that exemplified by Lord Ramachandra and his citizens. Lord Ramachandra ruled his kingdom exactly as a father takes care of his children. And the citizens, being obliged to the good government of Lord Ramachandra, accepted the Lord as their father. Thus, the relationship between the citizen and the government should be exactly like the between father and son. When the sons in a family are well trained, they are obedient to the father and mother, and when the father is well qualified, he takes good care of the children. As indicated here by the words, Swadharma Niratta Varnashrama Gunan Vitaha, the people who were good citizens because they accepted the institution of Varna and Ashram, which arranges society in the Varna division of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra, and Ashram division of Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. This is actually human civilization. People must be trained according to the different Varnashram occupational duties. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa, the four Varnas must be established according to varying qualities and work. The first principle for good government is that it must institute this Varnashram system. The purpose of Varnashram is to enable people to become God conscious. Varnashram charavataha purushena para puman Vishnur Aradhyate. The entire Varnashram scheme is intended to enable people to become Vaishnavas. Vishnur asya devata. When people worship Lord Vishnu as the Supreme Lord, they become Vaishnavas. Thus people should be trained to become Vaishnavas through the system of Varna and Ashram, as they were during the reign of Lord Ramachandra, when everyone was fully trained to follow the Varnashram principle. Simply enforcing laws and ordinances cannot make the citizen obedient and lawful. That is impossible. Throughout the entire world, there are so many states, legislative assemblies and parliaments, but still the citizens are rogues and thieves. Good citizenship, therefore, cannot be enforced. The citizen must be trained. As there are schools and colleges to train students to become chemical engineers, lawyers, or specialists in many other departments of knowledge, there must be school and college to train students to become Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmacharis, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasis. This will provide the preliminary condition for good citizenship. Varnashrama Gunan Vitaha. Generally speaking, if the king or president is a Raja Rishi, the relationship between the citizen and the chief executive will be clear. And there will be no possibility of disruption in the state. Because the number of thieves and rogues will decrease. In Kali Yuga, however, because the Varnashram system is neglected, people are generally thieves and rogues. In the system of democracy, such thieves and rogues naturally collect money from other thieves and rogues, and thus there is chaos in every government and no one is happy. But here the example of good government is to be found in the reign of Lord Ramachandra. If people follow this example, there will be good government all over the world. Hare Krishna. What is the focus of this purport? Varnashrama. How Ram ruled the kingdom. What else? What is Prabhupada explaining? How good? There cannot be good society without God consciousness. Good. What else? Yeah, to have a kingdom of God, they should have God. Yeah, that's good. Good point. What else? Anyone? Prabhupada explaining what is good government. and what are the factors that makes a government very good, right? So Prabhupada first explaining about Ram Rajya, or where Lord Ramachandra ruled the kingdom. Even in his absence, they accepted Lord Ram as a king. And here the main factor, first Prabhupada explaining the relationship between the citizens or the praja and the leader. Right? This is, you can see in a small, very small scale organization or a large organization or anything, right? The organization function if there is a smooth relationship between the leader and the people who are working in that organization, right? Why there are so many government fall apart, or why there are so many company have fights and everything? Because there is no much smooth relationship. So Prabhupada explained that good government is the relationship between the citizen and the government should be exactly like between the father and son. Right? Father and son. So don't worry about that government. Within a family, how the family function is that the father is the head of the family, right? And then he has a lot of dependents. So Prabhupada explained this in Ishopanishad. So Ishopanishad, he explains about aligning one's desires in oneness with the willingness or the desire of the Lord. Exactly like if all the dependents in the family are aligning the desire with the head of the family, then the family is in one in terms of their desire, in terms of function, and it is very smooth and happy, no problem. In a family, if suppose all the family members are having different desires and different agenda, then it will fall apart. People will move out of the family. We know some cases and situations where sons have moved out of family, or the daughters have moved out of the family, brothers have split, sisters have split, something. Why? Because they are not in align with the same desire or a mission or a vision or whatever goal. So there is one head and everyone follows that head, and it moves smooth. If not, then there is a disagreement. So here, the leader, the Ramachandra, is like the father. Why? Because it's interesting, because as a Kshatriya is to rule the praja. As an administrator, he has to protect the citizen. That is why the name Kshatriya, to protect someone from hurt, or protection or shelter, right? But when the power of a Kshatriya is used to exploit the citizen, then there is a conflict. Misuse of power, misuse of one's position, right? Then there will be a lot of problem. So he is like father because he genuinely care about his dependents, right? And there is a natural affection for a son towards a father. When fatherly figure is there is nothing artificial for a son to look up to his father, right? who is usually the personification of Dharma. Father is personification of Dharma, right? Who provides things, who establish the religious principle and things like that. So for a son, it is natural to look up to follow the footsteps of a father. So when the citizen, and we see this theme in Bhagavad Gita also, whatever a great personality does, then the common people will follow. Right? Whatever the standard set by the great person, then the common people will follow. So when a leader, when a administrator is of caliber like Lord Ramachandra, then people like to have that kind of leadership and that kind of following. So that's a good government. So good government means there is a beautiful relationship between the citizen and the government, just like the father and the son. So that was the first theme, or the first aspect, or a qualification for a good government. So the same we can follow the principle. Same principle can be applied in home, same principle can be applied in temple, same principle can be applied in our workplace also, everywhere. Right? There is a leader and there is a dependent, and there is a smooth relationship between both of them. Then Prabhupada explained about Varnashram Dharma. Varnashram Dharma. So he tells the people were good citizen. Okay. So there is a relation between the citizen and the government, or the king. And the citizen, how they are good. That means they are following Varnashrama. They are following Varnashrama. So Varnashram means we know that there are 4 ashram and 4 varna. The society is divided for a smooth function, exactly like a body. So the body has different parts: the legs, the hands, the stomach, and the head. Right? So they are not fighting each other. The head is not saying, "Oh, you leg, you are always down." You meant to be like that. The stomach is not saying, "Your hand, your job is to feed me." That's all you have to do. So imagine, imagine if we see in terms of Varnashram like that, "Oh, Brahmana, oh, you are Brahmana, we are Sudra." Not like that. They are completely satisfied in that position. And why it is not to discriminate in the basis of, putting down or something, nothing like that. So that the society functions smooth. So the body functions smooth. So we have the whole body. It has own function. Every organs, every limb has its own function and own duty, roles and responsibility and everything. So that the body is in proper physical, mental, everything is in proper shape. So we can move from one place to another. Similarly, so the purpose of Varnashram, so Prabhupada explained, the purpose of Varnashram is to enable people to become God conscious. So there is two you can see as a 2 dharma, swadharma, or one is constitutional position and one is conditional position. Okay. The constitutional position is Jivera Swarupahai Krishnera Nitya Das. So that is like foundational, that is permanent, that you cannot change. So everyone has to serve Krishna, everyone has to worship Krishna, everyone has to love Krishna. That is okay. And there is a conditional dharma or conditional. So Varnashram is basically identifying our nature and then engaging in certain activities so that our mind is peaceful. So we can focus on our constitutional activity, right? Because if our mind, if our environment, if our qualities or work is very agitative, then very difficult to focus on or very difficult to get that higher taste. It's like if we are not able to feed our belly, imagine we are fasting or something, right? Then it's very difficult to do our service. We might do, but when the stomach is full, then we do happily. Isn't it? When you have to do especially hard services, when physical services, it's very difficult. Everything is slowed down. When we do fasting, nirjal or something, right? Have you noticed that? Your body functioning, your thinking, your movement, you are taking in and then what is coming out, all the processing, everything slows down. So, but then when you are having prasad, when you add prasad and everything, then you are very energetic, you can do, then you don't think about, food and everything, so you can focus on service. So similarly, our material, psychophysical nature has a certain baggage according to our karma, according to the quality which we acquire from the association of a certain mode, according to certain environment, circumstances, right? So we have to place ourselves so that we are comfortable. And why? So we can focus on our constitutional dharma, that is to serve Krishna. So that's a purpose. So here, the purpose of Varnashram. So then Prabhupada explained the second aspect of a good government. The first principle of good government is that it must institute this Varnashram system. So what is that first point when Prabhupada said about good government? What is a good government according to Prabhupada in the first? What is the point he said? This is second. What is the first point? Good government. We discussed now, before. Good government. So, what is the qualification or what is the first aspect of a good government? Correct. Good relationship between the citizen and the king or the father and the son. So that. Then the second one is Varnashram. So, if you have a Varnashram, then there will be good citizen. If you have Varnashram, there will be good citizen. If you have good citizen, they will follow the king. So Varnashram is the institute the Varnashram system. And what is the purpose? The purpose of Varnashram is to become God conscious. So again, Prabhupada explained, okay, good government this and good government, then Prabhupada goes to explain some Varnashram. What is Varnashram? And the entire Varnashram scheme is intended to enable people to become Vaishnava. So there are different meaning of who is a Vaishnava. Right. Here, as per the definition, when people worship Lord Vishnu as a Supreme Lord, they become Vaishnava. Thus, people should be trained to become Vaishnavas through the system of Varna and Ashram. So, people are trained to become Vaishnavas. And the process of bhakti is basically cultivation of devotional service. It's a cultivating process. Bhakti is not, it's cultivated. like we told from the very beginning of a devotee, if you see, it says like Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed is given, right? You may not have bhakti, we may not have, inherit from our birth. It's nothing like bhakti doesn't come like that, isn't it? Like, someone is a devotee, and then great devotee, and then born. It doesn't mean that, that person also will be a devotee. Of course, Krishna says, one take birth in a devotee family, environment is there, everything is there, but it has to be cultivated, At a certain point, we cultivate. And when you engage, we give all the essential item where the kid can practice bhakti. And then certain grown up, then we change, whatever other things can be given. So it is cultivated at every stage of a person. So then it is training. A Vaishnava is not by, it can be, a Vaishnava, when in Prabhupada term, Prabhupada explained, caste Goswamis. Have heard of this term? Prabhupada explained, caste Goswamis. That they think, devotional service is only for me because I come in Goswami lineage. And you people who are born in America and England or UK, you cannot have any claim over devotional service. You cannot become Vaishnava. So this is something which we don't understand the impact of it, because nowadays it's. But when you think about when Prabhupada, before Prabhupada, it was a big debate. It was a big thing that anyone can become a Vaishnava. They fought for it. Like for example, we don't understand the value of freedom now. Isn't it? We don't understand the value of freedom. But then when you speak to some freedom fighters, or they tell about their story of, World War or, freedom, 1947 something, they tell it in such a way because they fought for it. It's not easily given in a dish, in a plate. Here, we can do freely, we can roam freely, we can speak freely, we can do everything, right? Australia is a very free country. Yeah. Imagine you were in the colonization of British or something. It is not like that. It is very, very restrictive. You can't do anything. You can't, like if you read Rilamrita or something, Prabhupada used to get permission to get paper for printing, to get permission to travel. Many things many certificates are required like that. So similarly, when we read about, like Vaishnavas, there was so much opposition. There was one, when Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was in Calcutta, there was a group who want to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And they went to police station, I think, and then they said to the police, please cover your eyes. We're going to finish off Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. But then he came and reported, be careful, there are people. Why? Because when he was giving initiation to everyone and then he was taking to darshan, people were closing the temple. They were not allowing. They were not allowing inside. Imagine, like that. We were not freely, and they were closing and they were throwing stones, and they were actually harassing the devotees. They were very much harassing. And then that is one side of, story. And another side is like, the caste brahmanas. They were, in the realm that, they were not, they're thinking they are more than the Vaishnava. And we know the story of how Bhaktivedanta Thakur had a conference and he was sick. And Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj went for 3-day conference and having a debate, who is better, Vaishnava or a Brahmana? So, this Vaishnava is by training. So anyone who is worshipping Vishnu, irrespective of any background, and who is taking to process of devotional service, right? He can be in Varnashram system. So that's why Prabhupada move on to explaining about Bhagavad Gita 4.13. Right? Krishna created a system, Chaturvanyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. The 4 Varna must be established according to varying qualities and work. So not by birth. So irrespective of one taking birth in any, like, a Sudra or, any family or Malecha, Yavana, they can become a Vaishnava. And we know from our own example, and we know our previous devotees and many in the line of devotional service, right? Prabhupada, made devotees in the worst scenario or worst possibility in New York. He made great Vaishnavas. So that's the greatest eye-opener. In modern time, if you see that a person who is having no qualities and person who is not having any Brahmanical culture or any Vedic or any spiritual background or anything, they become a great Vaishnavas. So that shows that by the association of a devotee who can actually cultivate the seed of bhakti in a person who is an outcast. So that shows the power of bhakti, that shows the power of association, and that shows how the process actually works. The greatest example. So that's Varnashram Dharma. So then Prabhupada continues. So now he talks about that we have certain law, certain ordinance, policy, but you cannot make person to forcefully follow that law and policy. So Prabhupada is saying, simply enforcing law and ordinance cannot make a citizen obedient and lawful. That is impossible. So good citizen, again, now second point, a good citizen can be made if they follow Varnashram system. A good citizen therefore cannot be enforced, a citizen must be trained. So a school and colleges to train students to become chemical engineers, lawyers, or specialists in many other department of knowledge, there must be school and college to train students to become Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmacharis, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasis. That this will provide the preliminary condition for good citizenship. So training is required. Training is required. So one of the purpose of ISKCON, there are 7 purposes. One of the purpose of ISKCON is to bring people of like-minded, or give that association to people, to bring together so that they can be trained in proper Krishna consciousness. Right? And we can see to an extent that, okay, we have Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas ashram. We can see that clearly. That's very prominently we can see in ISKCON. And of course, other Varna, like, there are Brahmanical qualities, like, we have deity worship, teaching, yajna, all those. Then Vaishya, cow protection is very much prominent in ISKCON. We can see that. A Kshatriya, yes, some managemental, administrative work and everything is there. And Sudra, we have basic helping, cleaning, cooking. So many other there. So to an extent we can see, yes, it's not fully like, solid program of Varnashram is established. But still we can see there is some endeavor in the movement where we can see, we started only 50 years. And we can see that, there is brahmachari ashram provided, it's a great training and facility is provided, which is wonderful, because outside of India that facility is provided. Prabhupada was not well received on this regard by his god brothers, that even there is a brahmacharni ashram and brahmachari ashram. Brahmachari ashram, okay, fine, traditional way. There is a brahmacharni ashram, which is new. So Prabhupada accommodated that. Prabhupada gave that facility. So the good citizen. And then last, Prabhupada explained about Raja Rishi. So the king is also a qualified person who has that spiritual knowledge. So one of the verse or one of the theme in Bhagavad Gita, where 4th chapter, transcendental knowledge, this knowledge is given to the king. So why it has to be given to the king, or why it has to be given to Raja Rishi? Okay, the role of a Kshatriya, the role of the king is to give protection. So one may think, okay, protection from, violence, war and everything. But the king also have to protect the praja from the biggest enemy, number one, is lust. So the 3rd chapter, talks about the lust, and then the 4th chapter talks about transcendental knowledge and it giving to Raja Rishi, because in that Prabhupada writes, the role of a citizen, the role of the king is to give protection to the citizens, especially from the lust. So if the citizen, don't know, this knowledge has to be given to the king, who will protect the citizen from the enemy number one, lust. So that then when the king knows exactly the spiritual knowledge, spiritual guidance, and is very clear, then there is a possibility of, decreasing the rogues and thieves. So the greatest example is Parikshit Maharaj. He actually stopped the Kali himself personified in 1st canto, you can see. He was so powerful, right? Because he was a Raja Rishi. He is coming in the lineage of Raja Rishi, right? He is not just a king. He is not just a Raj. He is, a king which has a spiritual knowledge. So then he can protect the citizen, not just from the famine, from the drought, or from the war or violence, from all the base qualities, all from lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, all those things. So if people follow this example, there will be good government all over the world. So we'll just finish with what Prabhupada talks about good government. So Prabhupada explained in this purport about good government, who is the greatest example is Lord Ramachandra. So few aspects Prabhupada described about good government. First is, there has to be a good relationship between the citizen and the king. That's the first criteria, exactly like the father and the son. Then second is, you have to implement the Varnashrama system to make a good citizen. In order to form a good government, you need to have a good citizen, and then also implement the Varnashrama system. So if you implement the Varnashrama system, then there will be a good citizen. Why? Because Varnashrama system purpose is to make someone a God consciousness, to make someone Vaishnava. Who is a Vaishnava? So that is one who worships Vishnu. He is considered a Vaishnava. What if there is no good citizen? Then what happens? Then the kingdom is filled with thieves and rogues. You may have a system, you may have a law, you may have a policy, you may have all the rules and regulation, but you cannot enforce, you cannot force on a citizen. But you have to train them. So Prabhupada gives an example of a school. Like how you have school and colleges to train the students in a particular curriculum to make an engineer, a doctor. Similarly, we need to train them in Varnashrama to make them a Brahmana, Vaishnava, Sudra, Vaishya, all those things. And especially we have International Society for Krishna Consciousness to train people to become a greatest Vaishnava, worshipper of Lord Krishna. And the king is also considered Raja Rishi because he has a transcendental knowledge, he has a spiritual knowledge where he can really protect the citizen. So if the king is qualified, he has a guidance from spiritual knowledge, the citizen is a good citizen, then the combination will have a good government. Then there won't be any rogues or thieves, then there won't be any problem. So I'll stop here and time is up. Thank you very much everyone for tolerating and listening to Bhagavatam today. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. You have a question, Sivya? You can ask tomorrow.